Do you know that in the world of EVs, there is still no adoption of that trend by one of the top automakers? Yes, it is Toyota, the world's largest competitor in automobile manufacturing. Do you think Toyota is so anti-EV? Do you think that Toyota will lose the race with its competitors? In this video, we are going to unveil why Toyota is so anti-EV. Without further delay, let's begin. Around 20 years ago, Toyota Motor emerged as the top automotive brand among American environmentalists and eco-aware consumers. Thanks to the Prius Hybrid, an electrified car that was one of the cleanest and most fuel-efficient cars ever made after gasoline. The vehicle's popularity increased as gasoline costs rose, leading other automakers to release a long list of hybrid versions. Prius automobiles continue to rank among the best fuel-efficient gas-powered cars in America, and this includes a plug-in hybrid electric type. Surprisingly, Prius and Toyota's resistance to committing to all-electric vehicles has caused the Japanese automaker to lose favor with some of its previously strong followers as the auto industry shifts to a battery-powered future. The truth is, the modern hybrid technology is not green. Just like any other gas-powered vehicle, the Prius Hybrid has a combustion engine that produces pollution. Despite the company's goal to become carbon neutral by 2050, its approach has put the biggest car maker in the world up against many of its competitors. It sparked concerns about its commitment to a sustainable future for the sector. Aren't you curious about the plans made by Toyota against their competitors for their survival in the automobile industry? Toyota's plans are not unique. Ford, Stellantis, and other Japanese manufacturers are all making comparable investments in the electrified hybrid vehicles. However, a cautious attitude towards EVs is noteworthy in the hands of the pioneer of the popular hybrid automobiles. Even if the business is investing more in all-electric cars, Toyota's executives maintain their approach. Its approach is sound because not all parts of the world will adopt EVs at the same rate because of the high cost of the cars and the lack of infrastructure. Jack Hollis, the executive vice president of sales at Toyota Motor North America, mentions that for as much as people want to talk about EVs, the marketplace isn't mature enough and ready enough. At this level, we would need to have a mass movement. Toyota declared in December that by 2030, it would have invested 4 trillion yen, or roughly $28 billion, in a range of 30 battery-powered electric cars. Simultaneously, it keeps spending money on hybrid cars like the Prius and other possible replacements for battery electric cars. We want to provide everyone the best opportunity to contribute to the fight against climate change. Gil Pratt, the CEO of the Toyota Research Institute and head scientist for Toyota, stated, and we know that answer is not to treat everybody the same way. Toyota sees all electric cars as a means, not the end, of achieving its carbon neutrality objective. I'm not going to invest in the far future with the assumption that battery electric vehicles would account for all sales. Jim Adler, the founding managing director of Toyota Ventures, stated, I don't see it. It really will be a mixed market. Executives at Toyota predict that the global adoption of electric vehicles will occur at varied speeds. It depends on some factors, including infrastructure, energy availability, and raw materials required to make the batteries that power the vehicles. Toyota has made significant investments in hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicles, including a second generation of the Mirai, in addition to hybrid and plug-in electric vehicles. Vehicles that run on hydrogen fuel cells function similarly to those that run on batteries, except they produce energy from hydrogen and oxygen, with water vapor being their only byproduct. They fill up with a nozzle nearly as fast as conventional gasoline and diesel cars do. Hollis stated that BEV, fuel cells, hybrid, all those reduction tools are going to happen. Vehicles are important. Nevertheless, the same issues that plague all electric vehicles also affect fuel cell vehicles, like infrastructure deficiencies, consumer ignorance, and high pricing. Toyota stated that it is also investing in e-fuels, which is, according to authorities, are a climate-neutral fuel that can be used in non-electric cars in place of petrol. Do you know the viewpoint of Toyota's CEO on the total adaptability of EVs? Battery electric cars, or BEVs, are not the only solution, according to Akio Toyoda, CEO for 13 years before becoming chairman of the board. Toyota claims that the market share of electric cars would never exceed 30%, regardless of the actions taken by the auto industry to promote growth. In actuality, some markets have already surpassed that percentage, some considerably. According to what he said, Toyota plans to use a combination of internal combustion engine, hybrid, and hydrogen drivetrain cars, as well as battery electric vehicles, BEVs, to lower emissions. Toyota predicted that these additional models would eventually account for 70% of sales, but he did predict that sales of fully electric cars will stay at 30%, no matter how much progress BEVs make. Do you know the reason why Toyota differs mainly from its competitors? Unlike other automakers, who are primarily concentrated on battery electric cars, BEVs, Toyota has a different approach. Toyota believes that to satisfy various markets, constraints on infrastructure, and customer preferences, a varied strategy is required. The company also stresses how critical it is to take into account a vehicle's complete life cycle, including manufacturing, use, and disposal. Do you know the warning Toyota issued against rushing to electric vehicles when assessing its environmental impact? However, Toyota is under pressure for what appears to be a slower rate of electrification than some of its competitors in the face of mounting demand to speed up the process. Their announcement in 2023 of aiming to release 30 BEV models by 2030 denoted a substantial change in their approach. Additionally, they are heavily funding electrification in 2024. At its Kentucky plant, the Aki-based company has already committed $1.3 billion to construct a brand new 3-row EV. Do you know the caution given by Toyota against rushing to electric vehicles? Just 0.86% of registered cars in the United States are currently EVs, and as their share rises, concerns about grid capacity and electrical demand will surface. According to them, there are huge differences in the availability of charging stations around the world. Because they adopt EVs at larger rates, richer countries have more advanced networks. However, there are still few charging outlets in poor nations, which puts a big obstacle in the way of prospective EV owners. This reflects a notable rise in the output of electricity, demanding large expenditures in infrastructure related to generation, transmission, and distribution. There are additional difficulties with integrating a large number of EVs into the grid. Variations in the way that batteries are charged can put stress on the grid and possibly cause blackouts. It will cost a lot of money to upgrade grid resilience to handle these variations. So, Toyota argues that a thorough technique that takes into account a vehicle's whole life cycle and fuel source is required. This covers things like how batteries are made and disposed of, how well the energy infrastructure functions, and whether or not renewable energy sources are available where you live. So, Toyota has a completely different narrative related to the EVs. They said the issue is carbon, not the combustion engines. What are your comments from the perspective of Toyota? What are your thoughts about the viewpoints of Toyota's executives? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned for the next video. Until next time.